Hi everyone, how you doing? What a lovely day for track and field. Hopefully your Sunday is going really well and you are ready to discuss a few things that happened today at the Diamond League there in Poland. A fabulous Diamond League, I thought. Overall, some really good performances, couple of world records, particularly from a man that you expect to break world records. In what I now think is in mainly teasing fashion from Mondo de Plas, always going up just by that little centimeter there, which in some ways I'm wondering if he's milking this too much, but we have to bask in his greatness. So we'll talk about Mondo de Plas there. A great world record as well from Jakob Ingebrigtsen. That Daniel Coleman record has been there from before he was born. It's such a long time there, a long-standing record. And that's off the books. Hardly you don't see that race being run. So, I don't know if that is a testament to anything, but we'll talk about that. Some good performances also in the sprints, like what I saw from the hurdles in particular. Kira Nugent kind of getting that off, that disappointment at the Olympics, probably. Let's see Litibogo winning again, not in the way you probably expect, but it's been a long season. Fred Curley there at the end. So we'll talk about some of these things and hopefully you'll be able to join me and talk about it. I'm flying solo tonight. Anything else you want to talk about it, of course, it's up to you. And yeah, so I want to start obviously with that impressive world record from Mondo de Plas. And thank you everybody for joining. I mean, such a this is what third time this year, if my memory serves me correctly. It's hard to keep up with Mondo. Mondo, they're going 6 meters 26, spectacular. He did 6:15 a few days ago back in Lausanne, which for him probably is just par for the course right now. But to get that, come back and knock off another world record is impressive. Again, we want to highlight what we're seeing. Mondo is making this look pretty easy. Every other day is breaking a world record, but it's not supposed to be that way. And we have to remember that it may never be that way once he's gone. The bar has gone so high because of the Plantis that there's hardly any way that we can keep up with him, to be honest with you. And the truth is, you kind of get bored sometimes, and we shouldn't get bored when we see Mondo de Plantas, right? Because he's big for the sport, generational, the best we've ever seen. I've said it on a number of occasions. I never thought I've seen anybody better than Sergei Bubka, and clearly he's much better. And shout out to Lavinia as well. But you get to this point where Mondo is just outrageous, and yeah. I will get to some of your comments in a second, and I see some people coming on. So thanks everybody for joining. Navlet, how you doing? I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Yeah, definitely always a pleasure to have you on the live for sure. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed what happened today. I didn't decide to do a watch along because it was kind of early for me, and most people probably would have been there. Chris, what's going up? Hopefully things are going well down there. Uh, I also have a little cricket going on, so if you see me look away, you know I'm watching other sports as well. Yeah, you remember when Bukka seemed unbeatable? Yeah, I don't think we thought anybody could have been as good as Sergei Bukka, and Mondo has just pushed that to another level. The consistency is different class. And what can we say? I mean, we just got to appreciate what we've seen from him. I should also shout out to some of the other guys. Sam Kendricks there going 6 meters. It's been a while for him, I think. I don't think he's gone 6 meters in for what, 4 years or so. I can't remember now. Corrales there from Greece breaking a national record. For him to go over 6 meters too, that was big for him. It was good jumping there. So there's a bunch of guys there with the potential for 6 meters under their belt. You look all the way down to Nielsen or Bina there, Lightfoot. All of those guys have gone above 6 meters before. Even a few of their, Lavine is still around there. I think he's just jumping for fun. But the difference is that Mondo is just so far ahead. He's a class by himself. And I don't know if we'll ever see the like. Part of me, my only disappointed with disappointment with Mondo is that I feel like he could just move the bar from 626 now and probably go to 628 or 629, but he keeps inching away. There's an appeal for that. There's some money involved. I think every time he breaks one of these records, he's looking at a 100K, 150K, depending on where it happens. And the longer he can do this, maybe he'll end up with breaking the world record so many times. It's unbelievable. I certainly think that Mondo will take us to the ceiling of the pole vault, at least in our lifetime. And we have to just wait for others to come along. But I don't know where the ceiling is. There's some measurements thinking that he can go beyond 630. I'm not quite sure. You have to have a lot more space above that in order to clear the 630. It looked that way in Paris when they do those calculations, but that's not the true really prediction of a pole vault, because you need more space ahead of you before you can clear it. But I'm enjoying it, and hopefully we'll get to see him do it again. Let me get back to some of your comments. Brian, what's up, man? How you doing? Yeah, no problem at all. So it goes. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. Anyway, I know you guys catch up when I'm not live anyway, so I really appreciate that. Novlet is saying Mondo allowed persons who have never watched pole vault to be addicted now. He's really enjoying himself. I do believe that's a good assessment. Certainly, that's the case. He's exciting. I think he's really exciting. If you see, I think they've figured out the pole vault in terms of explaining it to the wider masses, especially if you look at what happens in his hometown there in Sweden, where every time he breaks the record, they move that thing up. I think you need more of that to kind of sell the sport a little bit to other people who may not necessarily appreciate the kind of true greatness of it. And the field events are sometimes difficult for people to understand how great these things are. And I don't know if we've cracked the needle yet, or cracked the nut rather, on explaining track and field to a broader audience that maybe not necessarily follow. I've said it, it's easy to explain 100 meters, prior sprints, even the 400 to an extent. But once you start getting beyond some of these things and talking about pacing or distance and that kind of stuff, it's not always easy. And people kind of struggle sometimes to grasp that. And that's the onus on the sport to do that. And personalities like Mondo here can help a big deal. There's obviously that big race that they're going to try to do with Karsten Warholm, which I'm not quite sure if it's necessary, but it's we'll see. Novlet is also saying it's not only his job but a hobby. He loves it. He loves what he does. Congrats to him. Yeah, you can see he's truly revolutionary here. He's changed the sport in some interesting ways and so on. Appreciate everybody coming on. Chris says, have you ever heard about the Australian Somalian male sprinter going to the U20 championships with possible? I actually have not seen. I don't think I've seen this kid. Bringing up the world under 20s, that kicks off this week in Peru. I think on the 27th to the 30th, to the end of the month, I think, something like that. I hope to watch some of it. I haven't fully figured out where I'm watching it. I think it's coming on the World Athletics YouTube page. If not, I'll just hide behind a VPN. Hopefully, I don't think it's being shown on any of the stations or subscription packages I have here in the States. But I definitely don't want to miss that for sure. Yeah, but you can tell me more about him. I don't believe I've seen him before, to be honest with you. All right, so that was Mondo there, to be honest with you. That's really, really good performance by him. I think we'll get to talk about other things that happened today, and anything you want to talk about, definitely bring that up, because I thought we got some exceptional performances all around. But I want to, before we kind of get into some of the other events, I think it's important that we address the other world record. And this I never saw coming. I mean, again, it kind of highlights how good Ingebrigtsen is. And to be honest with you, Jakob going 7:17:55 today is as much as outrageous than that we've seen in a long time. This is like shaving a good 4 seconds or so off of Coleman's world record. So Daniel Coleman, all-time great, if you remember him from the 90s as well. 1996 broke that world record, 7:20:67. And Jakob this is like a 28-year-old world record. Ingebrigtsen just made light work of it this evening. Absolute light work. I mean, we'll be honest, it's not something that we see regular on the track and field circuit. So that's one, maybe one way of people thinking about it. Usually when we see 3,000 meters for men, it's indoors. But what he's done to destroy that today is just different class, absolutely different class. Again, I talked about it a bit on the last live we did when we talk about Ingebrigtsen coming out of the environment of being a tactician, right? So we saw him pull up a really fabulous 1500 meters in Lausanne, and the other guys weren't even in the mix. Again, I think Jakob is beyond talented. I still think he should be the one to break Ikam El Garouge's record in the 1500 meters. It's hard for us to really understand what happened to him in Eugene, in Budapest, and then again in Paris, not even being on the podium at all in Paris over 1500 meters. And the only way I can understand this, and he may say it differently, and there's where the disagreement comes in, is that he's just not planning those races, or he's not pacing the races properly, in the sense that he lacks the capability to do it when he's not aided by one, a pacer, and two, wave light. And the brilliance of the wave light thing since its introduction, and we've seen Guidi, we've seen Cheptegei, we've seen who else? I think Stefan Hassan. All these people were immediately starting to break these distance run records, and then everybody else is following. Is that the ability for the wave light technology to really keep you on track on a pace that you want? And I think that's where championship races come into play. And that's why Jakob loses those 1500 meters. And if he says otherwise, I'm not quite sure I buy that. So for him to come out here and drop a 7:17, outrageous running there. I don't know if he'll take another stab at that 1500 meters world record before the end of the season. He certainly should. He did a 3:26 prior to the Olympics. And I think he could try it. I wonder if he can try it. Yeah, you let me know your thoughts on what Jakob could do there. Let me go back to some of the comments. Novelet is saying congrats to all the winners today, represented themselves very well. I think so. There's some interesting stuff. We'll get into some of the other things in a second, whatever most intrigued you guys as well. Brian is saying Mondo is smart. 1 cm is killing the rest of the competitors. Why should he try more than that each try at a personal best? No, I get it. I think in a way, maybe because we know he can go much higher and he could just drop that and call it a day. But I guess it creates that thing in the sport. 1 cm is just very small for Mondo. I think he's milking. Mondo could have probably gone up by 4 cm when he was at like 6'9", 620 or something like that. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's up to him. I can't dictate that. And as long as they don't change the rules, he does it, right? Basically every attempt is a world record attempt, which probably goes back to a little bit of what Novelet was saying or others. He's kind of creating that hype around the sport. So maybe I'm being a bit harsh. I think that's the only critique I have. I think he could probably just get the world record and move it to a point, but maybe moving it to that point would be his cutoff, and potentially that would be the end for him. And he's young, and so maybe he just takes his time going through. And there's more money to break the world record every time you do it. So what is it? He's done it 3 times this year. So he's picking up about a good 300 and something K for just breaking the world record there. Yeah, I mean, careers are short. You need that money so you can continue to do that. Mina, what's up? Why men's 100, 110, 400 was not broadcast during the Silesia meet? Good question, Mina. I didn't know. I think it's because it wasn't a part of the Diamond League package. And so I have not seen the 400-meter hurdles. I don't know if you guys saw it. If you did, I haven't looked at it. I had to go separately to look at Fred's victory to see that. And I don't even think I saw the Grant Holloway run yet. So I don't even know. I can't even comment on those. I saw the times. We can bring it up in a second. But I did see the 100 meters, but I don't know. what is it? Don't you get money for breaking world record? Money. So he does it 1 cm at a time. Yeah, he does. That's what he's doing. I think the package from World Athletics is 100K, and he continues to break it. And then he's making more money on breaking these world records too, because each individual meet, if he does it on a circuit, they also have money for breaking records as well. So he's stacking up paper. And in many respects, we can't disagree with Mondo there. Thanks everyone for coming on. Don't forget to like the video. Yeah, let's get back to some of the other results. But to finish off, I think they could have started a little bit earlier. I think before the meet officially started, when I logged on, the high jump was there, but I actually don't know why they didn't show all of that stuff early in the package. Charles, how are you doing? Every time you break a world record, you get a 100K bonus. Yeah, that's what I was saying. From the World Body Plus, every sponsor gives you a bonus, so doing it 1 cm at a time is more money. Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going on. West Indies are playing really good cricket here. I'm missing out on all of that. Anyway, yeah, I think that's the only way, the only reason why he's doing it that way. And there's a buzz around it, right? There's a buzz around it. Only, I guess, hardcore people like us may find it a little bit like, yeah, Mondo is overdoing it now, but I think he's fine to do that. Yeah, since we touched on a couple of events that wasn't there, I didn't actually get a chance to see the Varham race. Did any of you look at it? To be honest with you, I think he won today in 46.95, meeting record ahead of Duco and Samba and Clark from Jamaica. But I actually didn't see that race at all. I was even replaying to see if it was on the Peacock thing, but I didn't see it. So I actually don't know. Yeah. Novlet said the broadcast started very late today. Yeah, when I saw it today, it was in the high jump was in progress before they got to women's 400-meter hurdles, and I'll get to it in a second. Brian says the 800-meter guys that are in 141 shape need to strike. No, they are in the form of their life. No guarantee next year. Remember Sherika Jackson anyway. Very good one. Let me go straight to that since you brought that up. We are in what I can only say is a high period for men's 800 meters. I mean, women's as well, but this year in particular, the men decided to show up in the 800 meters. We've seen Tual, we've seen Sadrati, we've seen Wanyoni. Sadrati and Wanyoni on multiple occasions. No, Arap as well on multiple occasions, dipping on the 142, 141 here. In Lausanne, there we saw spectacular running from Marco, not from Marco, from Wanyoni, going 41.11, which is joint second fastest in the world, right? Is it? Yeah. And I never thought, and I said it on the last live, and to be honest with you, I never thought that I've seen this quick the catch up to David Rudisha's world record. That's the greatest thing I saw in London 2012. If I'm trying to wrap my brain around it in terms of a one individual performance there, and it was outstanding from Rudisha. But now a bunch of guys are on are in a place where I'm thinking that we might see multiple people at some point in time dip below 141. Wanyoni for sure. It's only a matter of time, and I can put up results from today. It's only a matter of time before he breaks the world record, I think. In fact, when we look at what he did in Kenya earlier this year in altitude, if you were to do the kind of calculations, it suggests that it was better than the run that Rudisha did in London. The kid is amazing. He's super young. I don't know. Sadrati too. We haven't seen him since the Olympics, but he too is special there. He could do something. Marco Rappa stepped up big time. Today he was a class by himself. The rest of the guys couldn't hang. He checked on Wanyoni. No one was coming. And I thought if the competition was stiffer, maybe you could have gotten something lower than a 141. But it's I mean, I can't tell you how ridiculous that is. And I don't know how much Wanyoni or any of these guys have left in the legs. I would say Arap has some stuff in the legs, but I don't know if he can break the world record, to be honest with you. I think it might be Wanyoni who has the best chance there. But what Marco Arap did to not only go sub 40 two this year. It was just amazing to go sub 41. Barely, he could have won the Olympic title too. Suggests that he's big time, and maybe he's in the mix as well. Let's see. I'll get some comments before I get back. Uh, what's this? What's Rhodesia's world record again? It's 140, 140.91, I think. Yeah, 140.91. That's the record there from Rhodesia. And what else is here? Brian says, think the gold medal winner might be getting taxed now. Lots of fast races. Yeah, I think that's true. He's been running for a while. Early season, a few 141s there. Him and Sajati has the most 141s this year. Yeah, I don't know if he can do it. I don't know if he can do it. But he's capable of doing it. I mean, I think he can do it. Whether he can do it this year is the real thing. There's some more races, obviously. I would say if he were to take off one or two of these Diamond Leagues and save it up for the Brussels final, potentially. But I think you made a good point there, Brian, about this idea of trying to strike it when it's hot. I think he wants to break the world record. I think he tried to do it in the last race there in Lausanne, but it's taxing. It's taxing. Yeah, Brian also confirming the 140.91. And Novlet saying thanks. Mina, Kipkeita ran 141.11.1997. It takes Rhodesia to run 141, so that's a long time. Yeah, that's a pretty long time. I remember that Wilson Kipkeita there, former Kenyan guy, obviously ran for Denmark, and yeah. I mean, 2012, I think you're saying. Yeah. Brian says Sajati seems to have gone back to the Charlotte to train. Possibly. But I think he was disappointed with his Olympic run. And I don't know. I think he missed the pacing badly. And I think he was the fresher of of all the athletes in the Olympic final over 800 meters because his semifinal, he paced that to a T. That would be what you'd have textbook conserving energy. And you believe that he would have gone into that final and just cracked it up. And I think he mistimed that too. Don't know if he would have won, but he looked good all on the circuit, and he beat Wanyoni handedly a couple of times. And I thought he was going to pull it off again. But yeah, Emmanuel Wanyoni, special talent. Marco Arap, special. Sedrat is special too. All these guys are there. Bryce Hoppel. Look, the 800 meters are now gone into spectacular realm. We're now seeing guys running 143 and we think it's normal. And, we should realize how good these guys are. So spectacular running there from a bunch of people. So, yeah, I enjoyed that race. If you did, I think that's how all of that cracked up too. It was a good race. Hopper was there too, a bunch of other guys. I want to talk about some other events. There's a lot of events going on, and we can hop, skip, and jump around them the way you want. Since we're in the we would just touch on that 800. I thought that was good. Let me talk quickly about the 400-meter hurdles for women. I thought that was an interesting race. That's the results there. I'll put that up. A race that did I do that correctly? Yeah. That's Femke Bowl meeting record 52:13. Anna Cockrell there, the surprise silver medalist. 52.88. Rochelle Clayton running a 53.11 along with Salmon and Russell and Knight. All the other Jamaicans doing 53s there. Delia Mohammed there as well, finishing out a wonderful career. Again, I don't know if this can't make up for what happened to Femke this year. It's interesting. She was comfortable in the race. Doesn't necessarily make up for that disappointing performance because I look at Femke and I still don't understand what happened. And I don't know if her inability to run faster in Paris was a function of that superb 47 leg she ran on the mixed relay. Is that the case? I just don't really know. She was on course, I thought, to at least go sub 51.2 in the Olympics. I don't think she would have beaten Sydney. Sydney was just different class, but she should have been at least a 50.8 there in the Olympics. And in all fairness to Anna Cockrell, I like her a lot. Actually, last week I was just meeting some people who knew. Anyway, I'll talk about it another day. But back to Anna Cockrell, I like her a lot. I think she was spectacular. I think what she did this year to just even make the US team and to do all those PBs and PB and ensuring that she gets on the podium was super, super special. But nobody in their right mind would have put her or anybody ahead of Femke. We thought that the race would have been Sydney, Femke, and then a bunch of people, including Crocker, Clayton, and others for vying for the bronze medal. And yeah, there's interesting things about moving forward. What the approach will be, I think, for Femke Bol. What does that mean for her? Will she now start to think about maybe not doing those mixed relays the same way? Because she had to work a lot to do that, but I didn't think this would have been a problem for her to at least secure a silver medal. So we'll see. Let me get back to some of the comments. Brian says Femke went back to what works for her. Trying to outsprint Sydney cost her dearly. Yeah, it's one of those things because you think about the lung capacity and you think Femke has more, right? Probably a lot really strong stuff, but maybe not, right? I mean, I don't know. Like Sydney's just so special, super fast, super strong, everything of an athlete you want. It's just you just knock up against one of the greatest that we'll ever see in track and field in general. And I suspect now Femke can call it, not Femke, Sydney could probably call it a day now on the 400-meter hurdles if she wanted to now. She has those Olympic titles. She has the world records and, the stuff there. Time to focus on the 400, you would think. Interesting space in the women's 400 meters. We'll get to Paulina again in a second. But yeah, I think now is the time. I don't know. I think even Femke could start thinking about flat four at some point. But I suspect if Sydney were to leave, she could stick around for some more and pick up some more medals. But we'll see. Novlet is saying Clayton runs a good race. She hit a hurdle, then that threw her off a bit. If her finish gets stronger, she'll podium again. Yeah, I was trying to think through Rochelle Clayton. I like her a lot. I think she's a lot of heart. She goes out really hard, and I like that. It's just that the feeling the 400-meter hurdles is just so strong that you need these perfect races to make sure you get on a podium, right? And I thought she was going to get on a podium in Paris, and it just didn't happen. It wasn't to be. And maybe she'll get on the podium again next year. Certainly best for Jamaica of the lot of 400 hurdlers that we have. But to be honest, if you really want to be thinking about the podium in women's 400 meters, hurdles rather, you have to start consistently going sub 53. You have to start getting into those 52s on regulars. And it may be the demand now might be 51s, right? And that's just how the landscape has changed tremendously. And both Sydney, obviously, Femke as well, they've put it out of reach. All of that started probably with Mohammed in her quest to start putting the sport at a different level in terms of timing. But yeah, it's one of those things. Let me get back to some more of these things. Brian says her strategy has always been steady first 200, then outstay them for going home. Yeah, but you remember we were talking about this too. I think you couldn't beat. I don't think you could have beaten Sydney that way. If you thought you could have had a shot, you had to push her. You had to force her to go, and it's just hard to do. You can't do it. McLaughlin is just too good. To be honest with you, just too good. Get back to all this. Appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Brian says Sydney back in hibernation now. Yeah, Sydney runs very sparingly. I don't know how to think through that. I'd love to see her much more on the circuit because she's a superstar, genuine, all-time great. When she leaves the sport, huge void. But she doesn't run that. She doesn't run anywhere close to as much as we would like. That's a function too of our status in the sport. She has good sponsorship. She has good money there. So she doesn't have to be on the circuit a lot. And maybe she doesn't like competing a lot. I don't know. I can't say, that's probably a step too far for me to say. There's a dynamic there too with Bobby in terms of how he does these things. But I would love to see her a lot more. But we probably, I don't know if we'll see her again before the end of the season. Yeah, we might, but who knows? Novlet says Femke's strongest part of a race is the finish. It is. It just she didn't have it the other day. Mina is saying Femke runs too many races. Sydney doesn't run much, so it makes a big difference. That's true. I worried about Femke a lot last year, especially when she was piling on all those indoor stuff. But but the way it was put to me, especially all of that background training she was doing in South Africa and all that stuff the year before, was to just to move the capacity in a way that she would be in a position to actually beat Sydney. Didn't materialize this year, but I don't know. Another comment coming through. Nevada Paul, how you doing? Good to have you on the channel. Do you think Shaunae would get back to sub 49 form? Uh it's possible, but I don't know. So the couple things. Usually we've seen in the past, we can use the Faith Kipiegans, the Shelley and Fraser Price, a bunch of other women too that are missing out. That they have children, they come back, and they get even better, right? I anticipate that Shawnee would have just gotten back at least the top class 400-meter running this season. This was the anticipation. I mean, last year she kind of came back late just to probably test her legs. But the biggest issue for Shawnee was the injury, right? She's 30 years of age now. I don't. She's never been seriously injury prone, so it's really possible that she could get back there. I think it depends on how serious those injuries are and what kind of setback. And the big kind of work that she really needs to do to build up that capacity, right? So you've lost all of that being out of the sport. Some significant kind of work has to go back on the body. That kind of background training has to be beyond belief in order to get her body up. And can she get to the sprinting that's necessary? I think she can. Now, will she? I don't know. I mean, there's nothing except for this kind of interesting year to suggest that she couldn't be able to do it. But she has to have the will to do it. Sean is all time great. I don't know how much longer she has in the sport or how much more she wants to spend in the sport. It would have been. I didn't like when she ran this year because I just felt like she's just so good that other people just beating her because she's not at her best. I understand why she did it, but it looks an interesting way. Back to back at the Olympics. I mean, she has medals at world championships as well. I don't know. I mean, she could do it, but it's going to be a lot of work. It depends on what happens this season. Yeah. Now let's say she has a strength to finish. She has a strength in her finish to dip below 52. Oh, yeah, that's in reference to Rochelle Clayton. I agree. Yeah, I agree. But I think she's already pushing up on her limits potentially. I don't know. Brian is saying, and I'm missing a lot of comments, so I'll get to it. Sydney has her sponsors, so chasing prize money on the circuit is not inviting. That's just about what it boils down to. Yeah, I agree. I think that's what happens there. She has big money, big money, more than people think, and she also has a lot of kind of it's massive money. So there's no need to do it. I also think that Femke doesn't need to run that much as well. She has good sponsorship too, and plus, the Dutch people pay them good money as well. So I think she just runs a lot. Uh, Sydney needs to do more races. Why doesn't she run more? I think it's probably a money thing. It's probably a Bobby Kersey thing too. It's just like probably don't want to, right? I think it would be good to see her. There's different ways of looking at your superstars. We often want to see them all the time. there's so many Diamond League events. She could hit one or two, but you don't see her, right? And I know Bobby doesn't like to go to Europe either. It's just an interesting kind of thing, but it's a different story. Brian says Sydney generally needs to tackle at 400 meters. No, nothing really to prove now at 400-meter hurdles. Sub 50 might be a little far fetched. Yeah, I think the sub 50 thing is pushing the body beyond limits to it. Is it possible? Maybe. I don't know. I think where is she now? 50 lows. She could probably go 51, 50.1, 50 flat. But what does that mean for her? How much more extending of herself to get to that record? Because you have to think, if you destroy the body doing that too, you may not have a career after. So it's interesting. Yeah. Sean Novelet Smith says Brown rather Smith Brown says Shaunae had an injury that was her setback. Yeah, it was. It's tough to see her this year. I think if she can get healthy, we'll get back Shaunae in some capacity. She's just too good of a runner. The base is there. She has everything. It's just that she's going to return to a 400-meter space that's different class. In the sense that she could get back to 49.1 and not even see a podium. You see, that's the problem. And yeah, so that's the question for her. Yeah. Charles is saying if you're chasing, you have to run to have the times to get into important meets. The champion and record holder gets a bye. All others have to qualify. So you run. Yeah, but I mean, like Femke or others, some athletes like don't have any kind of a competition, right? Like so they can get to their event. Yeah. Mina saying, didn't Shaunae said that she wanted to concentrate on 200? I think somebody was saying this or we heard that recently. I think that would be a bad idea. But we'll see. I mean, I'm not saying she can't run 200 again, but it's more explosive work than she probably needs to do. I would say try to build back that 4 base and see what you get out of it. Nobody likes to train in the 400 meters. She's probably regretting that every day of her life, as talented as she is. So uh, that it could be one of those things. 200, it's an interesting space. She has to go 21 sevens or better to be in the space if you assume a lot of people get healthy, a lot of people are coming back. It might not be the best place to be. You're going to see improve Asher Smith next year for sure. You never know if the likes of Adali K could do a 2-4 double. I think that's in the cards. Depends on what Coach Flo wants to do there. You expect a fit Sharika Jackson to come back, a few more seasons at that too. Abby Steiner should get back at some point. She's just struggling on that kind of mix. Every now and again, Shakara Richardson dabbles in that. So I don't know, right? It's an interesting thing. Yeah. It might be an easier space to be in than the 400 meters, but I really don't know. Yeah, it's hit or miss there. I would love to see her back in 400 though. Novlet is saying normally when a woman gets back from maternity leave, they are normally stronger. It did Shelley Wonders, and I hope she'll get back soon. Yeah, we've seen some good evidence of that. I think she'll be back. I think as long as she can stave off injury, this season, this background year has to be a really hard one for her. The challenge is, can she be healthy in time to start in October, right? And if she can, then she could put in a lot of work and be in that space. Thanks everyone for joining. Don't forget to like. Nava said, thanks for your honest opinion on Sean. Yeah, I like Shaunae. She's special, special. One of the best we've ever seen. I mean, I don't know where to rank her. Probably number 1, 2. She's top 3 for me right now. Somewhere there. I like Perek a lot. I just have a soft spot for Marie Jose Perek. I mean, we don't have to do the rankings. It's not even important, but Shaunae's up there. Brian says, what is this? Brian says, Femke needs to go to 400 meters too. She clearly has what it takes to win. I agree. I think it's time for that too. Brian says 47.60 needs to go big time. I don't know if anybody can do that. I still don't know, if I'm being honest with you. I think it shouldn't be on the books, but that's a different story. Yeah, that's a bit different story. What's up, Willie? How you doing? Good to see you back. Like your talk on Shawnee, it will take time for her to get back in shape. I think so. The beauty about Miller Weber is that I think it's not. She will make the Bahamian team if all goes well. I don't see anybody going for it. If she was in the hurdles, it would be just sprint hurdles. It would be something different, right? Because the Bahamian women are coming back in sprint hurdles. They have three of them, a couple more in a pipeline. But I think 400 meters, she should be fine. The question is how significant is the injury, right? You know, she ran in Paris. I still didn't like it because I just feel like those girls who beat her might think, oh, I got one up on the two-time Olympian. But yeah, if she can get fit, hard work, background, a basic Shawnee is a 49 low, like uh, like average Shawnee is that, right? So if she can get back up to into good shape, we're talking going sub 49s. How low in the 48, in the 48s is a different question now. Because right now, Paulina set it up in a different space. And then there's bunch of women there. The 400-meter space is outrageous. Nikisha Price will come back. Amber Anning. You're going to look at Adelike, the Americans, Holmes, even. This is like NASA is back in some interesting ways. Kazmarek's still around for a while. And then if you join Sydney and Femke in the mix, madness. Absolute madness in 400 meters. Yeah. Yeah. Is it true that IAAF or World Athletics now wants to raise the heights for women's hurdles? I don't know if they've initiated a study on it, Navarro. I know Sebco said it cheaply in a few interviews recently, but I don't know because they'd have to commission a study. They may have, and I missed it, but usually what the process would be: go commission some study, test out some things, see if it makes sense, the benefits. They'll try to find a group of elite athletes and do it, and then they could do it. I think I don't know if they will. I think the way Seb says it is as a response to like, oh, Sydney's so good, so we got to do something about it. But I don't know if he's serious about it. He has one season left in his time. He's not running for re-election after this, but he doesn't leave until when is it? Like 4 more years or so, 3 more years, I think. So he has some time. I don't know if they'll change it. Yeah. She says that a few years ago. She's older. No, I don't even know what. Is that in reference to Shawnee running 200? Novlet says, can anyone tell me what's up with Natalia Gould? Don't know. I mean, I think it's probably end of a long career for her. Uh, similar to what you're saying. Is it the end? I think it's the end for her. She's been fabulous for a long time. Just never quite get it right at the major championships. I think she probably looked back and figured that she probably could have made a podium, maybe one, maybe a couple of years ago. She probably was in a shape that would suggest to you she could have found a way there. I don't know. It's been some tactical stuff at the major championships, never quite getting the way you'd want. My only regret with Natalia is that her influence on 800 meters in Jamaica has not been materialized, right? Like if I look at the space, like if you really look at 800 space, you go all the way back to the Turner sisters, it's 90s. You get Kenya Sinclair coming through. Then there's a period, then Natalia comes, and she's been a dominant force. And you just haven't really pushed through a number of 800-meter runners the way you should. I think when you look at the distance running in the Caribbean in general, it's not good. I mean, shout out to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, obviously, for pushing through there with Maloney. But in Jamaica in particular, you would say that they've missed the trick in terms of getting both men and women up to, I think they could be good at up to 815 possibly. Beyond that, that could be problematic. But yeah, They haven't done enough yet. Uh, Brian says married life. I don't know. Shaunae ran 21.7 range in 200. But yeah, she's gone to 21.7. I don't know. Can she get back there? It's a different thing. You guys are joking on life now. Chris says the sprinter is the go and came from Somalia, like Peter Ball. Okay, I'll look into him, Chris. I haven't. I can't. I don't recall seeing the kid. I hope to see him this year. The Peter Ball thing is also ridiculous. What they did in Australia to Peter Ball is outrageous. I was supposed to do a video on this a couple years ago and I just didn't get a chance. The fact that they really interpreted natural EPO for synthetic was outrageous from that lab. And I don't think Peter Ball has actually recovered from that stuff. It's out there. Yeah. Nawad is saying NASA is looking to be on top again next year. NASA is different class right now in terms of our comeback. I think Chris was saying this for the whole season. I just never believed it. At one point before the Olympics, I was like, can NASA be in the mix? That time she was like at 49.5 or 4 or so. And I was like, can she do it? Well, she's back. Back in some interesting ways. Yeah. Where am I? Novlet, I think her tactics leaves a lot to be desired. She's not very tactical astute. I think that's in reference to Natalia. Yeah, I think it's well founded there. Yeah. Novlet says we have some young girls coming up from home. Yeah, I love to see it. You know, when Champs comes around, love to see it. I think that it's just haven't pushed on the way you would want, but you know, you hope that's the case. Yeah. Chris says Goat has been closest to Bolts in junior ranks. I have to go look. Maybe I've seen this kid, but I haven't really. I don't know if I've seen him. Brian says, our girl Sarda Williams might need a step away from the 400 because the space is overcrowded. Those girls have stepped up big time. Maybe a step down to 200 might reap rewards. Interesting. Williams has been spectacular. What was it? Back-to-back bronze in the World Championships. Yeah, the bar has gone up to another level. Can she get to that level? I don't know. But right now, I think you need to be going sub 49 to be considered elite in the women's 400 meters. You know, Shada is with Stephen Francis. I like her. I think I don't know. Interesting. Stepping down could be challenging for her too. I don't know what kind of sprint speed she has right now, Brian. It's a good, interesting one. Yeah. Yeah. How old is Williams, by the way? Is she 30? I can't even remember how old she is. Yeah. In the middle distances, hope it materialized. Novlet is saying, yeah, you hope so too. And Chris is saying the kid comes from Sudan, a 16:10.02. Interesting. Yeah. Hopefully we get to see. Yeah, we'll see him this week in the World Youth Championships. As I always look forward to seeing that. You always get some future stars there. Some don't materialize, but some do from time to time. Yeah. All right. So I've been on to the comments here a lot. Let me get back to some more of the events from today. Let's talk about the women's 100-meter hurdles. Interesting, you know. I didn't see the heats, to be honest with you. I only got to see the final. I heard Akira wasn't looking that great in the heats. I don't know if she was carrying something, but that was a really good race. Once again, I don't know how to unpack a 100-meter hurdles. You look at what happened on a day-to-day and you're like, we're living in some ridiculous places. Fabulous time from Nugent, meet record, 12:29 into a headwind. She looked slightly injured at the end. She was, you know, didn't look so good. I hope it's nothing serious. Her hurdling looked exceptional to me. I just felt for her. It makes me wonder that if she didn't have that mishap in the Olympic final, if she would have found her way on the medal podium. I thought she would have. Just a tremendous talent there, Nugent is. She was pumped after winning this today, so I think she was happy about it. But good running too. Grace Stark as well. We've seen her great all season. Danielle Williams also going. So a couple of women, they're going under sub 40 as well. Masai Russell, Olympic champion, coming off, shaking off that Olympic title there and coming back on the track. 12:40. It's just a great space for women's 100-meter hurdles. Everybody was there except for a few people. Camacho Quinn, maybe Toby Amason. Uh, the Bahamian wasn't there either. But it, or maybe even Kambunji. But Samba Maela was there. Russell, former world champion, there too. Kenny Harrison. So the space for women's 100-meter hurdles is just so stacked. Really, really good. And yeah, I like what I saw from Nugent. I hope she can build on this and come back next year and do something special. It's going to be hard. The Jamaica team is hard to make. You hope that a Brittany Anderson will get back to full fitness next year. It's so interesting. Good. Luckily, Daniel Williams has a bye, so Jamaica gets to bring 4. But it's one of those things. Oh, Brian is saying Sauda's 26. Well, my bad. No, if she's 26, it's work then, Brian. I think she could probably. It's just that the background load has to be harder. She just have to work harder. I think they've shifted on them, and if she can do it, then I don't think she loves the work. I think the thing that they say about Williams is that she's tough. So if she can pull it off, then I think the 400 is still her space. Still her space. Don't leave it yet, even though the competition is getting tough. Novlet said Akira ran well in both the heat and final. That's good. Yeah, she looked good in the final. I didn't see the heats. She looked a bit uncomfortable at the end, but nothing too serious, I hope. And maybe she had a bad step or so. It looked like an ankle thing or maybe a knee. I don't know. I'm not sure what happened to Jasmine because Camacho Quinn looked good the other day. I mean, even today, Dean Asher Smith didn't show up. What happened to what's his name? Kishane Thompson. He didn't show up for the 100 meters either. I haven't even gotten an update on that either. Chris says, thank you for respect for my NASA prediction in Paris. Yeah, you did. Carlos Wanterina did 4.8 for amazing double. She can do it too. So you're thinking that NASA should run 800. I mean, the Wanterina thing probably will never happen again, to be honest. It is out there. Sarah has just one pace, nothing at the end of the race. Oh, you mean Williams? Sarah, I mean. Sam says she's tired. Who's tired? How you doing, Sam? Maybe I missed that. Sam also is updating. Kishane Thompson hamstring flare. Appreciate that. I hope it's nothing too serious. Maybe you should call it a season and come back next year. Brian says it's hard to dissect women's 100 hurdles. They beat each other on any given day. No, it's true. Anybody who can predict 100-meter hurdles is kind of guessing game. I guess the only thing I can predict about 100-meter hurdles is that Camacho Quinn will find her way on the podium. What medal? I have no idea. But usually she's like, I'm getting a medal. But all of those women are so talented that they can get there. They can get there. Novlet says Dina said she's tired. Kishane had a minor ache. Okay. How you doing, Dorian? Good to see you. Thanks for listening for sure. Tamara, how you doing? Just heard that Kishane felt a little niggle. Okay, cool. Thanks for the update. Where is this? Nevada. Does not NASA have a shoe contract? I don't know. You mean NASA, right? I don't think she needs a shoe contract if you understand how Bahraini sports work. Is it Bahrain or Qatar? Bahrain, yeah. You don't need shoe contracts. I don't want to get into the politics of athlete transfers today, but she doesn't need shoe contract. Yeah. And all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Especially if you run for the Gulf. And she didn't transfer anyway. But yeah, it's a lot of money there. Brian is saying Nugent generally has beaten Russell in head-to-head, but she lost the one that really matters a lot, the Olympic final. That's true. I think Akira, the entire collegiate circuit, they face each other. She had the advantage. I really felt, to be honest with you, that Akira, and not because I like Akira or anything, but I just felt that she had what it took to actually win the Olympics. I mean, but we knew that. I mean, you saw the time she had a 12-2. She and Nugent had New she and Masai Russell are the fastest time going in, and they look like the cleanest hurdlers going in to the Olympic Games. But the problem with hurdles is that it often gives you, these kind of surprises, right? You hit a hurdle, you crash out. It's just really unfortunate for her. Yeah. So she's young. That's the probably saving grace. There's a world championship next year. I suspect she'll try to come back if she, but making the Jamaica team isn't easy. You have to be on top of your games, just like the US team. Kenny wasn't even there. If Brittany Anderson is back next year, I mean, you look at the likes of what's her name, Megan. She's probably upset for not making the team. Disappointed. It's just it's stacked, really stacked. So we'll see. Let me get back to a few more of these comments here before I move on. Hurdles is a technical race, so anyone executes well on the day wins. Yeah, it is, and sometimes misfortune from another athlete is your demise as well. Sam says she does better in middle lanes. Who, Akira or Masai? Chris says Sally Pearson was wonderfully fast hurdler. Knew the dip. She is playing Brisbane. Okay, she's part of the planning team for Brisbane. Okay, I'm looking forward to that. Sally was special, super special there for Sally Pearson. Got that world record, obviously, that dunk over world record, which I was happy to see. And then the sporters move on. Interestingly, Tamara says Akira indicated that she was ill throughout the Olympics. Interesting. Yeah, but I still think she would have medal if she didn't have that mishap in the final. I think she was just too good. But it's one of those things. Next time we'll get a chance there. Did anybody see the men's 110-meter hurdles? Because I have not seen that race either. To be honest with you, I saw the result there. I saw Grant Holloway winning, but I didn't see the race. I had checked to see if NBC had it on a special thing, but the results here: Holloway ahead of Broadbell. I have no idea what that race looked like. Roberts, Tinch, Bennett, Sasha Zoya there as well. I guess I can look at the photo finish, but it doesn't tell you much. I don't know who was ahead. I suspect it might be Grant, given how he runs. But Broadbell looked good in Lausanne recently, so yeah. All right. Let's do a few more before we call it a night. The interesting. I don't know if the high jump looked decent today. Not really. Maybe not that decent, but I just want to make mention of that really quickly, just to go over a couple of results. I was pleased to see Tamberi coming back. He, obviously struggled throughout the Olympics, had kidney stones, he was in hospital, didn't get a chance, won it at the end there. But Beckford from Jamaica doing a PB, doing that 2:29. It's good to see. Hopefully he can probably take a crack at going into the 2:30s before the end of the season. But high jump, not too bad. I mean, some of those guys weren't jumping as well, but it's end of season's kind of difficult. Tamberi, they're playing around at the end, trying to move the bar from 2:31. Then he went to 2:38, and then 2:40 didn't actually get it. But I like what I saw from Beckford. Couldn't make it over the 2:31, but I think he has it. I think it's just a matter of time, and I like the kid. I think he could elevate the high jumping again for Jamaica, which is interesting. But yeah, so just wanted to touch on that. Well, you guys thought about the 200 meters there at the end. Interesting kind of 200-meter race from, let's see, Tobago. Looks tired. Wasn't lifting at all. Didn't run a good curve. Kung Fu Kenny was running a better curve. Good race by Uganda too, getting a national record on PB for him. Probably a little bit disappointed in himself throughout this whole Olympics, but he didn't do as well as he probably wanted to. But Kenny coming back, Aaron Knighton there as well, Kyrie King. A bunch of guys that was at the Olympics. Nothing really spectacular. Tebogo did enough to win the race. I think he was tired. There's nothing to talk about. He had a good race in the last Diamond League, and maybe he needs some rest to get back to full shape. Or he probably could call it a season. He ran so many races at the Olympics. But I suspect we'll see Tebogo all the way to the end to the Diamond League final. But because he's young, but 1983, I don't think he even got out of any kind of first gear, or he couldn't even really get out, to be honest with you. He didn't run a good curve at all. And he wasn't running at all until he figured out that he didn't want to lose the race and just did enough to pass Kenny and Ogando. They're finishing late. But 1983, nothing that spectacular from his perspective. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about women's 200 meters as well. That's interesting. No Dean Asher Smith pulled out late. But a nice run from Tia Clayton there. Uh, Talu running well, Tamara Davis as well, Daryl Nita in the mix. So it's not a bad feel. A lot of people were looking at Saboda. It's on home soil. She didn't run as particularly well. 11:03. 10:83 in positive wind there, almost 3 meters, helping 2.9. So it's not particularly fast in the end, but it was good for Tia Clayton to win her first Diamond League. I think this is kind of a training year for her. I suspect she's ahead of schedule, as Stephen Francis pointed out in some interviews prior to the Olympics. Tremendous talent. It's good for athletes to win that on the circuit. She'll probably run out the entire season, come back next year with a level of confidence needed to take it up to another level, because there's an opening there. There is really an opening there for athletes to step up in Jamaica, especially given the changing landscape that we're seeing. A retiring Shirley Fraser Price at some point, whether next year. We don't know what we'll get from Elaine Thompson-Herah. Hopefully she can get healthy, but that's the first step for her, and then we'll see what you get after that. And at some point, the question is, will Shericka Jackson continue to double all the way up to the next Olympics? It's kind of an interesting one too. I don't know if that will happen. Let me get back to some more of the comments. You guys tell me to. Where am I here? Chris says Botswana just discovered the biggest diamond. I thought it was the second biggest diamond in history. Yeah, I think I saw that. I saw the picture of that. It may be the second biggest, right? Yeah. But I could be wrong. I stand corrected if I'm wrong. Brian says, and to your point, I don't think they're giving it to Bogo, but the Tobago stuff is interesting. His reception when he went back home, amazing. Packed house, lots of fanfare. Rightly so, the guy delivered first gold medal. This is amazing. And he's young. I think he can get much better. I definitely think that Tobago can run 19.3s. We saw that in the legs. He could have probably run 1939 or so in the Olympics. I think he can definitely go 19.3 low, probably, probably thinking at some point in the next few years going sub 1930. I don't know how much faster than that he can go. He may be the best capable of making an assault on the Johan Blake 1926, and maybe at some point looking to the great man's 1919. A little bit far-fetched there, but Tobago probably doesn't. He's not fast enough yet. I don't know if he can get that fast. He's strong. I still think he should do 2.4. I still think he should do 2.4. He'd be the reincarnation of a Michael Johnson. Well, obviously, he would do it his way, but it would be like that, and I would love to see that. Let's see. Brian says Tia held her form well. That is what she failed to do in the Olympic final. Her future looks bright. Yeah, I have actually no problem with Clayton in terms of what happened in the final, even with Thompson in the end. Look, first final for both. She's a youngster, 20 years now. What can we say? She's in good hands if she stays healthy, if she listens. develops right, she'll take the sport in some interesting ways. The Clayton twins are really talented kids. So, it's unfortunate. She could have she ran a really good semifinal. You thought she would have run much better in the final, but it is what it is. If you can learn from these lessons, build on that, she'll be fine. Likewise for Thompson, I would say, going back to that, if he stays healthy, if you when you sit back in perspective and you say, "Oh, this is my first major championship," kind of the first year that I'm somewhat healthy, and I probably should have won that. You will build on that. You come next year in Budapest, and not Budapest, in Tokyo rather, and then move on. Bright future. I agree with that. Tamara says, good win for Tia. However, I think she needs to more top end speed and endurance at the end. She needs to do more 200 next year. Yeah, also the sprint form, I think he's correcting the sprint format somewhat. It will probably take time. Maybe it's a core issue. It's the kind of the way they run is like almost a little bit swimming style as well. It will take time. But I agree with you. I guess some maybe more over distance stuff, and like if she could run the 200, that probably would help. But I'm, you know, good hands. They're in good hands, so it should be fine. Brian is saying you're gonna get controversial here. Don't understand why people vex with Atto re comments about Elaine. He merely thinks her 1054 days are over because of the injuries. Wasn't throwing any shade. Yeah, I did see the interview. You know, I guess he probably could have said it differently too. But we all, when you're on stuff, I say things in different ways. Yeah, I don't think he was saying she's done as a career. Uh, yeah, to get back to 1054 is not something that I don't think Elaine should think about, or 21.5. That's not something she should think about. I think the most important thing is for them to get her healthy. If they can get her healthy, then she can run something decent. To get that year in Tokyo was different. That's as close as you're gonna get to a spectacular year, right? That's like a 2008 for Bolt, or a 2013 for Shelley, or 2012 for Bolt again, or 2009. I mean, no world records, but that record, that 10.5 is the world record. If you can't tell me otherwise, so I'll say it. I'll say it is, because that record from Flojo was in a hurricane, so it is the legitimate world record in my book. So to get your body back to that is not easy, clearly, on any kind of athlete, whether you didn't have injuries or not, right? I think the challenge for her is, can she stay healthy? They have to figure that out. And if they can figure that out, she's too good. So the thing is, she's so good that at 80% Elaine could still pop up. I mean, at 80% from a 21 shape could still pop up and give you, well, maybe 80 is a stretch, but maybe at 85, 90% Elaine could still give you a 10.7 on any day. Maybe 21 eights, 21, something like that. And that, for some people, they'll never approach, even when they're at their best. So the question is, what are they doing to make sure that she's healthy? And if they can do that, it's a significant management of long-term injury. And that's the biggest downfall of her career, is that she can never stay healthy. And it's unfortunate. It happens to some people, happens to her more than you would want it to. All those intervening years between the Olympics, and just can't get it right in terms of, it's just niggles after niggles that create significant time pushback in terms of capability to run hard. I don't know if the double is in our future anymore. Maybe it's just try to think about what can she get healthy and run 100 meters well. And if they can manage it, she doesn't have to run as often, then we'll see. Yeah. Let's see where we are. So yeah, back to just to close out on Atto. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's hard to see her getting back to that kind of form only because it's been 4 years now, and yeah, she barely can run. So if she can start running, then we can judge. And also, she's getting a bit older, and she's suffered from a lot of injuries. So I think there's a way to end the career in a way that she can still pick up some medals or be extremely competitive, but it requires proper management. And if they can do that, then we'll get to see something decent. Dina, what's up? I just said I just need Tia to run the 200. She doesn't has to. She doesn't. I guess yes. I mean, have to compete, but just running it and trying to keep her endurance in the 100. Look at Tobogo, which is with the 200-meter 400 in his leg can manage. Yeah, I feel Tobogo could probably run 43.8 right now if he was really being serious about it. And then he could probably go to really low 43s. He's that good, I think. Yeah, I think they'll figure out Tia for real and Tina as well. I think the Clayton sisters are fine. They're 20. There's a lot of time there. Lots of time. You know, lots of time. Alana Reed, Brianna Liston. Let's hope she gets back well next year. Healthy. The future for that kind of stuff is really good. I also think Brianna Williams, don't sleep on her. A full year with John Smith and her being his only priority or main priority, you'll get something special too. How good, I don't know, but I think with John Smith, Williams can actualize her true potential. Wherever that ceiling is, I think he'll get to it. It may be a 10-8, it may be, you know, but whatever the best of her should be, I think he'll get to it. Navarre, do you think next year Dean Asher Smith would rank in the top 3 in women's 200? It's possible. I think we're going to see the real Dean Asher Smith next year. Moving from John Blackie, going to Coach Flo at the timing, I don't think it was enough time for him to really transform her the way he would want. Dina, special talent in terms of ability. I struggle with some injuries as well. I think we'll see the best of her. I think he'll get her to medal podium status in some ways. I don't know if that means she'll land on the podium. It's hard out there. It's competitive. I anticipate a 21 sevens next year from Dina. Could be better. I just don't think she has the kind of background, or he didn't have the time with her that he probably would want. But I think it's coming. It's coming in some ways. Yeah. Dina saying Elaine is 32. If she can get back super healthy, she can definitely clock 21.5 in the 200, and for the 100 she can go as 10.6 or 10.7. Yeah. Super fast, right? Top end speed for days. But can she get it back, right? I don't know if she's looking forward to running 200, just to be honest with you. But I agree though. I think if she were to can get back healthy, she would give you everything you need. I kept saying it. I feel it's too late now, but she probably should have gone to John Smith before, but he's Nike. Even Bobby or somebody like that could have done stuff. There's some other people too, but it wouldn't work out because of history and so on. But yeah, Dina thinks Elaine, we get a 21.5 from her. I think if Elaine gets back healthy, she could drop a definitely 21.6 for sure. How much below that, we'll have to see. But how far, I just want her to be healthy. I just feel like, with every athlete, and this is not even an Elaine thing or anything, especially when you get the generational ones, you want them to live out the career because it's short and you want them to maximize. But sport is hard, sports is unforgiving, and some people just struggle with injuries and it's tough. Brian says Alana Reed needs to go out to camp with those 3 American Musketeers. I know you're saying that, and other people have been saying this. To be honest with you, she's young though, right? I mean, it's a good place in terms of high quality sprinters there. Unless you're saying that it could have a potential impact on her mental state, or maybe Dennis doesn't have enough time because he has a bunch of guys to. Where would she go? But it takes something special. You have to think about Alana in general to do what she's doing, to leave early, to go pro. It requires some level of confidence. I think she'll be fine, but I don't know. I don't think, unless you have some inside stuff, I don't really know, to be honest with you, behind the scenes, if the environment isn't the one for her. Yeah. Dina thinks, I really like Dina. A healthy Dina can do something great next year. I agree too. I think so. Brian said, I would love to see Alana with Coach Flo. That could work. Coach Flo has a bunch of top class athletes. How he does it, I don't really know, because to run the whole program there and then to run the elite program as well, and the caliber athletes that he has to really take care of them and give them, and he's doing the field event stuff too, and it's ridiculous. But yeah, he would be a great place. There would be a great place for Alana too. I could see Elaine in Texas too. I don't know if she really wanted a shift, but I would go for either Bob, because Bobby doesn't have a sprinter right now, right? He would work ridiculous magic with her, but yeah, we'll see. Chris said, I cannot say goodbye to Elaine. Yeah, we don't want to. Yeah, yeah. We hope she gets it. Yeah. Novlet says, Brian, she needs to get out. No attention is being shown. Nevada, 21-5 at her age is out of reach. Yeah, that could be really tough. We'll have to see. Yeah. I just don't want to speculate on Elaine Thompson times. I just want to see her healthy back. Last year when we saw her with Osborne for a little bit, you thought she was ahead of schedule, and you're like, she's gonna come back this year and run like 10 sevens. And then injured again. And what happened to her in New York, you just never want to see. Yeah. Chris says Brian knows his stuff. Yeah, he does. Dina, I wish Elaine did stay with Frano. Yeah, that happens. That's a big question. Alana needs to leave Dennis Camp. I see greatness, but only when she. Okay. Yeah. And Brian is agreeing. Novlet is agreeing. Yeah. Yes, Brian again. I guess Otto did not disrespect anyone. Yeah, I guess Bolin got heat. I guess he has big chest. He can take it. Yeah. All right. Well, it's going so well. I don't know if I've covered everything, but it's good to have all of you on the channel as usual. We could have talked more about other stuff. Yeah, there's other good things going. Just Smith won the triple jump in 1450. Wasn't too bad. It wasn't too great either. Perez Hernandez was in the mix too after her disappointment at the Olympic Games. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff happening at the Diamond League here. Another one coming up soon. I'll be happy to talk more about those stuff in the coming weeks. I try to be back sometime this week, guys. I will in the evening in particular to see if we can see what's happening at the World Under 20 Championships. A few more Diamond Leagues to come up. We'll have Rome, Zurich, and then Brussels, right? And that will end out the season. Some continental tours should pop up soon again. I haven't even checked the schedule, but yeah. So it's always been my pleasure. I really appreciate all of you guys coming on the channel, supporting, and don't forget to like the video. And I suspect most of you here are already subscribers, but if you've not, then do that. Brian is saying, Chris, just my opinion based on what I observe. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm gonna call it an evening because I got to do some other stuff and then I got to teach in the morning. So I'll see you guys. Bye bye.